everyone, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a first impression on the Kat Von D Lock-It range. So I am going to be trying out the Kat Von D Lock-It Foundation, the Lock-It Concealer Creme, the Lock-It Brightening Powder, and also the Lock-It Setting Powder. I'm going to be trying these ones out for the first time on camera and letting you know my thoughts and opinions on each of the products. I have tried once or twice the Brightening Powder before. That's the only one out of these I've tried. Otherwise, everything else will be a brand new first impression. I don't have the primer that comes in the Lock-It range, the hydrating primer, so instead I'm going to use the Macca Cosmetica Fresh Faced Hydrating Primer. With this foundation being more of a matte finish, I definitely think it will work better with the hydrating primer underneath it. So I'm just going to prime my entire face with the primer today. The first product that I'm going to be trying from the range is the Lock-It Foundation. I got the shade Light 48 Neutral. Hopefully it will match me okay. I did put on like a tiniest bit of fake tan. I know this is darker when I have no fake tan on, but I kind of wanted to get an in-between shade for when I'm not super tan, but I'm not at my palest either, so as my tan's kind of wearing off. And plus I kind of mix my foundation shades a lot, so I'll mix lots of different formulas of foundations together to get the right shade, so I don't mind if the shade is a little bit different to what I currently have. I'm sure you will have seen this foundation before. The packaging just comes with this stopper on here, and then it has a pump. All that it states about the product on the box is it says it's 24-hour wear, full coverage, transfer resistant, matte finish. It doesn't really tell you too much information on the box about the product. I did have a quick look on the Kat Von D website and it says that it delivers full coverage in just one pump. So we will put that to the test today and see how that goes. I'm going to do one half of my face with a brush and then one half with a sponge. Be a good test to see which applies the product better. Okay, so I'm just going to start out by applying one pump to the back of my hand. So you can see in comparison to my hand it is a bit darker. It is quite a thick texture. It doesn't move down my hand a lot. It's not really runny or anything. It is quite a thick formula, which I was expecting with a foundation like this. I'm going to start out by applying it with a brush, and I'm going to be using the Makeup Geek Foundation Stippling Brush to apply it to one half of the face. So I'm just going to dip my brush into the foundation, and according to the website I should only need half of this pump to do half of my face, so we'll see how that goes. I'm just going to zoom in now so we can see a bit more up close of what the foundation looks like as I'm applying it. So I'm going to start out by applying it on this side of my face. Definitely has got good coverage to it. The colour of it is looking pretty good for the amount of tan I have on at the moment. So far I've used a full half of that pump already, so I'll probably end up using one pump for this side, so I'll just see how we go. So with the brush I feel like it's blended out really nicely. I like the coverage of it, and the finish of it is definitely drying down to a matte finish. At this point it is still feeling a bit tacky, but I'm assuming that as it dries it will set more matte. It has covered most of my breakouts around here, but you can still see a little bit of redness poking through. The coverage I am pretty happy with. I think it is a nice full coverage. I'm sure you could add more coverage if you wanted to, but I'll apply it onto this side and then we'll see if we need to add more coverage after that. Okay, so I'm going in with another full pump, and this time I'm going to use a Real Techniques sponge. So I'm just going to dot that onto the skin. Well, I really like the way this is applying with the sponge. It was really easy to use with the brush as well, so I don't think if you were using a brush you would need to get a sponge, but it is applying really nicely with the sponge. It's giving good coverage, and it's just blending out really easily with the sponge as well. Okay, so now we have it on both sides. So I really like either side. It doesn't make too much of a difference if you use a brush or a sponge. Probably I'll use it with a sponge. I just feel like this side looks a little bit more coverage, which is random, and I don't know, I just like the way it looks slightly more on this side, but they're pretty similar. My lighting could be a little bit different on this side as well because I do have a window here, so the lighting will be hitting me funny on that side. I'm just going to add a little bit more coverage just in between my brows, just with the sponge. It builds on top of itself really nicely. It's not going cakey or heavy, and it'll just add a touch more around my breakouts. Okay, so the foundation I'm really happy with so far. I was expecting it it to be a lot more cakey looking and a lot more matte. It is definitely a foundation that looks like you're wearing foundation. It's not like an undetectable type of a foundation, but it doesn't claim to be that. It does claim to be more of full coverage, and I do think it looks really nice. I'm actually really happy with the formula so far. It hasn't dried down completely matte yet either, and it is transferring at this point, but I'm assuming once you set with powder, that's when it will become more transfer proof. If you're wondering, the Kat Von D foundation is $35 in US dollars and $49 in Australian dollars. So with the exchange rate, $35 converted to Australian dollars would work out to be $44. There's only a $5 price difference for this foundation, so I think that's a really fair price. So I'm happy with the price of that one as well, and I got this from Sephora Australia as well. We're moving on to concealer. For the concealer, I got this one for under the eyes, so this one is a little bit lighter than the foundation. This is L5 Neutral. Hopefully this one looks alright. On the box of this one, it just says 24-hour wear, crease proof, full coverage and hydrating. It sounds amazing, so hopefully it lives up to that. I left the under eye area blank so that we can go on with the concealers. I'm going to be using the Real Techniques contour brush to blend out my concealer on this side. It does feel like quite a thick texture, so I'm not going to apply any more than that because I feel like that's already going to be quite a lot of product. Yeah, it does have a lot of coverage to it, which is awesome, and it's easy to blend out with a brush as well, which is good. It's not like really thick like the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. It is a lot more blendable. That blended out really easily with a brush. The colour just blends in together, even though it is quite a bit lighter than the foundation. And I'm just going to add a little bit more here where I have a lot of darkness. I really like the way this concealer is looking and sitting so far. For the amount of coverage that it has, I wouldn't say that its actual ability to cover dark circles is amazing, but in saying that, that can be to do with the shade that I've got. So I'll do the other side and I'll use my sponge to apply it on that side. So it's super easy to blend with the sponge as well, and I would say the coverage is pretty much the exact same as well. And I'm just putting a little bit more on just to add that little bit more coverage like we did on the other side. It looks really nice applied with the sponge as well. There's not a huge amount of difference. I feel like the brush helped to blend the two colours together a little bit more easily than the sponge did, but in saying that, like, they look pretty much identical. There's not a huge difference. It doesn't look like at this stage that it's settling into creases too much. I do have lines under my eyes, so no matter what product I use there, it is going to crease. And we'll see with the brightening powder once it's set down with that, sort of how we're going with the creasage situation. But for me, it's not creasing any more than any other concealer that I normally use, and I really like it so far. So far I'm happy with the foundation and the concealer, which is awesome. To set down the under eyes, I'm going to use the Lock-It brightening powder in the shade Petal. Like I said, I have tried this one a couple of times and I actually really like this. It's not like first impression. I didn't realize, but my camera cut out as I was filming the brightening powder and the Lock-It setting powder, but all I did was apply the brightening powder under my under eyes. I feel like it is really nice and brightening, and it smooths out the texture under the eyes really nicely, and I haven't found it looks drying under the eyes. And then I used the translucent setting powder with a big fluffy brush all over the rest of my face, and I feel like it's set down my foundation really nicely. It doesn't look really heavy. It's definitely a lot more of a matte finish. I do think if you had dry skin that you may not like this powder as much. It is looking quite matte on my skin, but I do personally like that because I do get quite oily throughout the day. If I felt like I was looking a little bit too matte, all I would do would be just put a little bit of a more hydrating setting spray over the top, and that would just take down that really powdery finish. I think it's looking pretty good. I'm really happy with all of the products from the Kat Von D range. It is 11:54, nearly lunchtime. I'm so bad at filming early in the morning, so it's always around lunchtime that I film these videos. I will come back and check in throughout the day and let you know how all of the products are wearing, seeing if we're getting any creasing or anything else that I may notice about the Complexion products. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay guys, so I'm back for a foundation update. The time is 10:05, so these products have been on my skin for about 10 hours now. The foundation has stayed on my skin really well considering how long it has been on for. And around my eyes I do have a bit of creasing, but that's pretty normal for me. I'm really impressed with how this foundation's held up. I'm definitely shiny after this length of wear. However, this lighting does make it look a lot worse than it is. It hasn't really come off anywhere, which is really really good. It's not separated between my brow. Still sitting pretty good on my nose area. I did have a little bit of fallout from the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette that I was using earlier. I mean, it has come off a little bit around my nose here, but pretty minimal. Definitely did sort of settle into my creases on my forehead, but I did apply more foundation on that area than I generally would. Around my mouth and my smile lines, it's not too bad. It did kind of crack a little bit in the corners of my mouth. It hasn't gone too gross around my nostril or anything like that. My final thoughts are that I actually really love all of the Kat Von D Lock-It Complexion products. My skin type is combination to oily. I do think if you had more dry skin, these products may not be the best for you, particularly the setting powder that was quite mattifying, and by the time you use that with the foundation, it could look quite dry if you did already have dry skin. On me, it was a little bit dry when I first applied it, but knowing my skin and my skin type, that I do get quite oily throughout the day, I knew that it would probably only take maybe half an hour for that to sort of settle down and my natural oils to start to come through. I think the brightening powder is going to be my go-to setting powder for the under eye area. All of the products definitely have a place in my makeup collection, and I'm really happy with everything that I tried out today. Thank you all so much for watching this first impression review video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you found it helpful. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you did like it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.